There are only two ways to create wealth. In other words, two ways to make money. I never understood this concept as a young boy. I believe had I known about this, a lot of the decisions I made at an early age could have been different. But it's not where you've been. It's not even where you are now, it's where you're going. You see, I want to start by saying to you that your past is gone. You've paid a price for your past, and I believe you paid a full price for it. Let it go. The question is, what are you going to do today to ensure that your future is better than your past? You see, your future doesn't have to be the same as your past. As a matter of fact, your past and your present should not be used, except by choice, but should not be used as ingredients to design your future, except they are good ingredients. Now, I made a lot of mistakes at a younger age, and one of the mistakes I made was the failure to embrace financial education and wisdom. And over the last few years, I've learned so much, and that now I try to share what I know. During my early days, I didn't understand that there were two ways of making money. And for so long, I subscribed to the first way. Now, the first way of making money or creating wealth is simply to work for money. This is where you exchange your time in exchange for money. With this method and with this approach, I was the servant, I was the slave. Money was the master. I had to come in every day and say yes and no to someone, but I was exchanging my most important asset, my time. If I worked, I got paid. If I didn't work, I didn't get paid. And it took me a lifetime to understand that I was approaching life and wealth with a wrong formula. If you have a job, you rarely get wealthy on a job. And let me explain some of the reasons why. A job has what we call a single point of failure. A single point of failure simply means that in the event of something catastrophic happening, you have no other sources of income. So when I designed engineering systems back in the day, depending on the system that we were designing and depending on the nature of the business and the critical nature of the business, we were designing redundancy. And a redundancy is simply a backup provision. So if something goes wrong, another system kicks in to maintain continuity in business, in operation, in service. Now, my question to you is, in your personal life, do you have a single point of failure? Now, if all you have is a job and you have one source of income, then that is a single point of failure. And that means if you lose your job, if you become ill, if the company decides to sell, you have no income source. But your expenses will still remain, but you have no income. I think that is not a recipe that you should apply in your life. If you're going to change that, then you must understand a concept called MSI, multiple sources of income streams. And by this, I'm talking about what we call leveraged income. Let me qualify what that means. With a job, you have what we call active income. And active income is the second reason why a job is not really the most attractive way to create wealth. With active income, you have what we call the highest taxable income source. The highest taxable income source. In addition to that, you have to invest time to get paid. If you don't invest time, you don't get paid. Leveraged income is income generated through the use of leverage. In other words, OPM, other people's money. OPT, other people's time. OPK, other people's knowledge. OPE, other people's experiences. OP means other people. Now you can continue this, other people's resources. Leveraged income is income created as a result of you using leverage. It means that you don't have to invest your entire time, but you use leverage. And as a result of using leverage, you create what we call passive I like to clarify that passive income doesn't mean you do nothing. Passive income means that the income source comes through maybe investments, business, assets. The source is leveraged in terms of the activity. The income is passive, meaning it's not active in terms of time invested. Now, passive income requires less tax than active income. This requires higher tax. Now, this is some very basic fundamental things you must understand and know if you want to create wealth. There are two fundamental things that the wealthy use to create more wealth. One of them is that they understand taxes and they understand the use of debt. Now, taxes in your life right now, if you have a job, is your highest expense for most people. Not everyone. If you're in a very, very low tax bracket, then maybe it's not. But if you're average, you are an average earner, then your tax is probably your highest first line of expense, meaning as soon as you get paid, it's the first thing you pay. Now, the wealthy understand the tax laws and they use it to their advantage. And so the wealthy create businesses and investments and assets in such a way that they pay taxes last. And that gives them a competitive advantage compared to everyone else. Now, the only other problem I want to draw to your attention about a job is not only is there a single point of failure, it's active income, which is the highest taxable income. I talked about the fact that you have to invest your time, effort, energy, and there are so many hours you have in a day. It's 24 hours, so you're limited. So in other words, this gives you limits. Number 4 is it's unleveraged, meaning you can't send someone in to do your work for you every single day and you sit back and you enjoy yourself. No, because the person you're sending in is thinking about themselves. My recommendation to you is this: if you have a job, don't go trying to change and live your source of income, but ask yourself, how can I play this game and still succeed? What you have to do is adopt the second method of creating wealth. The second method of creating wealth is when you become the master and money serves you. So money becomes the slave and you become the master. Now, why is this important? It's important because with the second option, what you have is money as the slave and you as the master. But to get to this point, you must take a portion, 20%, 30%, 40%, doesn't matter what percentage, of what you earn from your job, and you must invest. And you keep investing and reinvesting the returns and reinvesting the returns until you build your portfolio up to a point where you now have enough. You can then invest this and the return is enough to cover your expenses. By doing this, what you then have is an investment in the form of assets. So we say you work to get assets, money, and money works for you to create more money. That is how you start to build wealth. Wealth is created not by working for money, but by having money work for you. And you do that simply by improving your financial education, becoming a good investor, becoming a good entrepreneur, learning the laws of money, learning the rules of the game of money so that you can take advantage of the two avenues that the wealthy use, taxes and debt. And by doing this, what you find is that you slowly start to build what I'll call a wealth portfolio. And over time, you'll find that you arrive at a place whereby the income you're getting from your investments far exceeds your expenses or your choice of lifestyle, and therefore you don't have to keep working for money. You can now sit back and focus all of your time and energy on creating additional multiple sources of income that can create more leveraged income. When you get to that point, you can then work for fun, for joy, for purpose, for your passion, for excitement, for significance, instead of working for money. That's how you create wealth. It's really simple, but it all begins with a decision. I want you to decide today that you're going to take a step. Now that step might simply be you deciding that every day you will dedicate 10 minutes of your time every day to studying some of the principles of wealth. That's all you need to do. Let the journey begin slowly. Take that first step. And don't worry about looking up towards the next step. When you've taken the first step, you will find out what to do to take the next step. Begin where you are. Start small. Act now. But remember, always dream big.